Hello and welcome to another expert interview for the Nonprofit Mar Community blog. Today I'm speaking with Yesenia Sotelo about optimizing your nonprofit website for better conversions. So Yesenia is a friend of mine, and we were talking about her work building websites for nonprofits and also about her course that teaches nonprofits how to be more website smart. And one of the things she teaches is how to optimize elements of your website to convert better. And I thought this would be something you'd be interested in as Nonprofit Mar community readers. So first I want to welcome and thank Yesenia for being here today. Hi, Yesenia.
Hi, Marlene. I'm excited.
Great. Well, then let's just get started, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. So let's just start with the basics. When you talk about conversions on a website, what do you mean by that, and why are website conversions important?
Honestly, the way I explain this is I think conversions are the only reason to have a website. Because what a conversion does for you is it takes a website visitor and it turns them into something that your nonprofit wants, needs, can use. For example, you could convert a website visitor to a donor, or convert them to a volunteer, or convert them to an advocate. So to me, if you're going to have a website, you might as well also be thinking about how can you convert the people that come to your website into a role that brings that person into your community.
Okay, that makes sense. So if you're teaching people about this, then you're obviously seeing websites that aren't converting. Do you have any idea what's holding nonprofits back from optimizing their sites for conversions?
Yeah, there are so many nonprofit websites that don't convert. That's a really good point. I have found that what's holding nonprofits back, it's actually a lot of nonprofits are on one extreme or another. So they're either offering too many conversions. So you'll see a website that has like 3 buttons: donate, volunteer, sign up for our email. And a visitor might look at those 3 options and say, what do you want me to do? Or a lot of nonprofits are on the other end of the spectrum where there's nothing. You go to their site and you maybe wouldn't even know that they had an email newsletter you could sign up for. You wouldn't know that there was a volunteer form that you could fill out on the site. So I find that the nonprofits that are having trouble with conversions are just on one end of the spectrum, too many or none at all.
Okay. I hear between the lines there your answers to the next question. My next question, which is, what are some of the best ways that you can make sure your nonprofit website is converting?
You did. You read my mind. It's definitely about focusing. I think the best thing that a nonprofit could do is to focus on one conversion, and also focus on one conversion that is an easy sell. So when I say easy sell, I mean it's easy to complete online. Maybe it's something that doesn't require too much commitment, but yet takes a website visitor and moves them in the direction that you want. So for example, the one I get a lot is that nonprofits want to raise more money. And I hear you, like money is important. We're in a field that is always fundraising. However, most nonprofit website visitors, the first time they come to your site, are probably not ready to make a donation. So maybe instead of focusing on the donate button, you might think about focusing on email signups. So overall, though, my advice is always to focus on one conversion, on something that's easy. And if you have a longer goal in mind, like something that's more complicated, that's okay. Just know that you should focus on that first step so that you can then keep guiding people along the process, whatever that may be for your nonprofit.
Perfect. Okay, so where do folks get started? I mean, that's some good advice in terms of starting with the basics and starting small and getting focused. But what are the things that nonprofits need to do to their sites to get started with better conversions?
Yeah, you got to start somewhere, right? So you definitely need a tool. You need some way that a visitor will actually complete this action. And again, it runs the gamut. Every nonprofit is different, whether it's you want to recruit more volunteers, more advocates, board members, you want people to sign up for a specific list of yours, any of those. You need a way that a person can actually give you their information so you can engage them in the way that they want to. So to start, I say you need the tools first, so get some kind of online form, and that could be an email sign up or just a general contact form. And then you have to start actually creating your pitch. And when you create your pitch, I would say a couple of tips. One, make sure your form, whatever it is quite brief. So you don't want to ask for, their email address and their zip code if all you really, I'm sorry, their street address and their zip code if all you really need is their email address. So keep that form brief, whatever it is. Again, remember to keep it easy. And then when you're thinking about that pitch, create a headline that explains to the website visitor what they're going to get out of this opportunity. So don't just say subscribe to email. Say something like sign up for our weekly fitness tips, or join a community of women like you. Give them a headline. Give them a reason why they would actually want to engage in this opportunity. Make it hard for them to ignore it.
Okay. So it sounds like when you're saying pitch, what I would normally say is call to action. So that'd be the same thing. Okay.
Yes, that's a good point. Yes, call to action, pitch, conversions. I tend to use those terms interchangeably, I know, but you're right, it's a call to action.
Okay, yep, just want to make sure we're talking about the same thing. So, having watched this video and walking away from it, can you offer any helpful resources, places to get more tips or more guidance that you recommend?
I was browsing the nonprofit MAR community blog, and I really like this article that you have there. It's called Using a Challenge to Raise Awareness and Inspire Action. And the reason I like that is because a lot of times when I talk about conversions, it can feel a little abstract, like what is this thing? And what I like about that article on your site is it's very concrete. It's a case study of a nonprofit that used this campaign to raise awareness, but also gather a lot more email addresses of people that are interested in what they do. So I would invite viewers to read that article and that resource and start to think about how they could use a campaign, maybe on a smaller scale. The one that you featured was awesome, but it was a little kind of aspirational. But how could you, as the person who is thinking about this, how could you just start to run a small campaign on your own site to invite people to become a supporter? And then additional resources. So I mentioned that one of the things that you need is a form, or you need a way for a person to actually give you this information that you're asking for. So there's a few tools that I love. MailChimp, MailChimp, is a great email marketing tool that has embeddable forms that you can just copy and paste. So I love that. It's also free to start with, which is great. Free is good. Wufoo, WUFOO.com. You mentioned that you used that yourself once. That's a great tool for forms. If anyone's using Salesforce for their data, FormStack, FormStack.com. Great also for forms, and it connects to Salesforce. Great. And if you are really getting deep into this idea of turning your website into a tool that helps you gather more supporters, then consider checking out my course, which is at smartnonprofitwebsites.com, because there are 3 classes. One of them is conversions, but there are 2 others, content and analytics, and together I think they would really help you become a better website manager.
Awesome. That's so helpful, and thanks for pointing people in the right direction with those tools, and for the plug for that blog post. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for your tips today, Yesenia.
Thanks for having me, Marlene. I always love chatting with you.
Awesome. All right, and if you're watching, if you're not watching this video over on the Nonprofit Mar Community blog, do head over to nonprofitmarcommunity.com. And that way we'll also share some of the top-level takeaways from this video, as well as links to the resources Yesenia mentioned, and some information about how to reach her and find out more about her course. And of course, along with the case study, there's a whole lot of information there on websites and all aspects of nonprofit marketing for you to look at. And if you like this video, please be sure to share it with a friend who could use a little help getting nonprofit websites smart. And finally, if you're over on the blog, please pop into the comments and let us know what takeaway you're going to implement. What are you going to start doing to make your nonprofit website more optimized for conversions? Thanks so much for being here today.